Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics for coin collectors and treasure hunters. We'll break down what makes these coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. So let's get started. First up, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel with an S. Mint mark is a special and highly collectible coin because it was produced during World War II and contains 35% silver instead of the usual copper-nickel alloy. Your coin, described as having a large date with an S mint mark and being in dirty condition with some scratches, is a piece of American wartime history that holds both numismatic and historical value. This coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and the bold S above Monticello on the reverse is one of the easiest ways to identify it as a wartime silver nickel. On the obverse side, the coin features the classic left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by sculptor Felix Schlag. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," run along the left rim, while "Liberty" and the year 1943 appear on the right side, separated by a small star. On a circulated coin in dirty condition, the details of Jefferson's hair, cheekbone, and jawline are typically smooth from wear, and the fields of the coin may have lost their original shine. The dark toning and dirt are common signs of age, especially for silver-based coins, which can tarnish over time. Light scratches may be visible across the surface, but the major features, including Jefferson's portrait and the date, usually remain distinct and legible. The reverse side showcases Jefferson's home, Monticello with its neoclassical dome and columns, centered beneath the Latin motto E pluribus unum. Below the building are the words Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. The most distinguishing feature of wartime nickels is the large mint mark placed above the dome. In this case, the large S identifies it as being struck at the San Francisco Mint. Because your coin is in dirty condition, the surface may appear darkened with signs of oxidation and grime in recessed areas, but this is typical for coins that have circulated for more than 80 years. The lettering and Monticello design may show moderate wear, yet they remain readable and intact. The composition of this 1943 the S nickel sets it apart from most other Jefferson nickels. During World War II, nickel metal was in high demand for military purposes, so from mid-1942 through 1945, the U.S. Mint changed the formula to include 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. This gave the coins a slightly different color and made them more prone to tarnish. Each coin weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Because of the silver content, these nickels are also sometimes referred to as Silver War nickels. The San Francisco Mint produced approximately 104.1 million of the 1943 S Jefferson nickels, making them one of the more plentiful of the wartime issues, but still very popular among collectors. Even circulated examples like yours have intrinsic value due to their silver content. From a historical perspective, your 1943 S Jefferson nickel represents an important chapter in American coinage. It was minted at a time when nearly all industrial resources were being redirected toward the war effort. Everyday coins like this one were part of the government's effort to conserve strategic materials like nickel for military production, especially for armor plating and weapons manufacturing. These nickels circulated widely during the 1940s, passing through the hands of soldiers, factory workers, and families supporting the war at home. Because your coin is described as dirty and scratched, it falls into the circulated grade range, likely good to fine condition. In this state, the details of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello are worn but identifiable, and the coin may have lost its original silver-gray luster. The scratches you mention are common for circulated silver nickels and generally do not detract much from their collectible worth unless they are deep or damage the main design. The 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the 3 U.S. mints that struck Lincoln cents that year. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already become a familiar part of American life by the early 1950s. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's portrait stands proudly as a symbol of integrity and leadership, surrounded by the words, "In God we trust," above liberty, to the left, and the date 1952 with the small D mint mark just below it. The reverse carries the traditional 2 wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum. Along the top, a classic reminder of America's unity and strength. The 1952 D Lincoln cent was struck in bronze, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gave it a warm reddish-brown color when freshly minted. But over time, most examples developed darker tones from circulation and exposure to the environment. The coin you described is in full damage condition with visible scratches, meaning it has endured significant wear and surface problems. In this state, the coin's finer details such as Lincoln's hair, beard, and the wheat lines on the reverse are mostly worn away, and it may even have dents, discoloration, or corrosion spots. Such damage greatly reduces its collectible and market value. In 1952, Denver struck over 746 million of these wheat pennies, making it one of the more common issues in the series. Because so many were produced, even well-preserved coins are not considered rare. For that reason, condition plays a huge role in determining value. A 1952 ID penny in uncirculated condition can sell for $65,000 and bright red. Examples graded by professional services may reach $700, $1,000, or slightly more if they have exceptional eye appeal. However, when a coin is fully damaged, the collector interest is minimal, and its value drops close to its metal content, essentially just a few cents in today's market. Even though this particular coin may not hold significant monetary value, it still carries historical charm. Every Lincoln wheat cent represents a piece of mid-20th century America, a time of post-war growth, optimism, and industrial expansion. In 1952, the United States was emerging from the shadow of World War II. The Korean War was ongoing, and the nation's economy was booming. People used pennies like this daily for everyday purchases, buying newspapers, candies, or postage stamps. A single cent had meaning in that era, and millions of Americans handled coins like this one without realizing they were holding a part of American history. The D Mint mark adds a small layer of interest, as Denver Mint coins are often known for their strong strikes and slightly different toning compared to Philadelphia issues. But because so many were made and circulated heavily, only those that survive in mint or near-mint condition hold premium value today. Your coin, being in damaged condition, has lost much of its numismatic appeal to serious collectors, but it remains a great historical keepsake and an educational piece for learning about U.S. coinage. If you look closely at your 1952 D penny, you may notice how its once smooth copper surface has changed over time. The blackish or brown shades that appear on older pennies are the result of oxidation, a natural chemical reaction between the copper and the air. This gives the coin a darker tone that some collectors still appreciate for its antique look, even if it lowers its technical grade. Next up, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel with a large date and P mint mark is one of the most iconic nickels ever produced in the United States, primarily because it was struck during World War II and contains 35% silver instead of the usual copper-nickel alloy. Your coin, described as being in good condition with some scratches, is a genuine piece of wartime history. The large P mint mark above the dome of Monticello on the reverse makes it easy to identify as a Philadelphia issue and as part of the famous Silver War nickel series. The composition of this coin makes it particularly interesting. Because nickel metal was critical for military equipment such as armor plating, the U.S. Mint replaced the regular alloy with a mix of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese for nickels minted between mid-1942 and 1945. This silver composition gave the coins a lighter color and made them slightly softer, causing them to wear differently from standard nickels. The coin weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. The Philadelphia Mint produced an impressive 271,165,000 nickels in 1943, making it the most common of the wartime silver issues. Still, collectors value it for its silver content, historical significance, and as part of completing a full Jefferson Nickel wartime set that includes the 1942-1945 issues. From a historical standpoint, your 1943 Jefferson Nickel tells a powerful story of resource conservation during World War II. While soldiers were overseas, American citizens on the home front supported the war effort by recycling materials, buying war bonds, and even seeing changes in everyday coins like this one. Each nickel minted during this period represents the nation's adaptability and commitment to victory. In good condition, your coin shows moderate wear, with most high points on Jefferson's face and Monticello flattened from circulation. The fields may have scratches or small nicks, but the major design elements remain visible. The dirt and patina on the coin are natural for its age and add to its authenticity rather than detract from it. Collectors often appreciate these marks as evidence of genuine history. Because it contains silver, even worn examples hold intrinsic melt value, meaning they are worth more than face value regardless of their condition. The silver in a single 1943 war nickel is worth around $1 at current silver prices, depending on market fluctuations. In the collector market today, a 1943 Jefferson Nickel in good condition with some scratches typically sells for about $1.00 to $1.25, mostly due to its silver content. Coins in fine to very fine condition can bring around $1.50 to $2, while extremely fine examples are worth about $3 to $5. Uncirculated pieces with full details and luster can fetch $10 to $25 or more, especially when certified by grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Exceptional coins with full steps on Monticello can reach even higher prices at auction. Next up, the 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on its coins during that era. This coin continues the classic design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination on the reverse. The design is one of the most iconic in American coinage history and symbolizes honesty, hard work, and the enduring legacy of the 16th U.S. President. The 1952 Philadelphia wheat penny was minted in large numbers, with more than 186 million coins produced. Because of this high mintage, it is not considered rare, and its market value today depends almost entirely on its condition. The coin you've described is in damaged condition with some scratches, meaning it has seen heavy circulation, possibly corrosion, and wear from years of handling. This level of damage removes most of the finer design details, such as the sharp lines of Lincoln's hair, the texture of his coat, and the wheat stalk definition on the reverse. The scratches also reduce its eye appeal, which further lowers its collectible value. In numismatic grading terms, a damaged coin falls below good condition. It may still be identifiable and legible, but it shows significant surface problems that prevent it from being a high-grade collector's item. However, despite this, such coins still attract interest from beginners who enjoy collecting old U.S. coins for their historical value rather than their rarity. The composition of the 1952 Lincoln penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a reddish-brown color when new. Over time, exposure to air and moisture causes oxidation, turning the surface darker, sometimes with shades of brown, red, or even black. In damaged coins, this oxidation may appear uneven or blotchy, giving the coin a rough texture. Some collectors call this environmental damage, as it usually results from the coin being stored in damp or unsuitable conditions. When it comes to market value, the 1952 wheat penny without a mint mark in damaged condition is worth very little in monetary terms, usually around 2 to 5 cents in today's coin market. Its value mainly comes from its historical charm rather than its metal content, as modern copper prices only slightly influence these older coins. In good to fine condition, the same coin might sell for $35,000, while higher-grade examples in uncirculated condition can reach $300 to $500. Brilliant red uncirculated examples, graded by professional services, may command $10 or more, especially if they retain their full luster and sharp details. Though the value is modest, the 1952 Lincoln cent is still a fascinating reminder of post-war America. During this time, the U.S. was experiencing economic growth, new technologies, and a rising middle class. Pennies like this were used daily for newspapers, candies, and soda bottles, making them a common but essential part of everyday life. Millions of these coins passed through hands across the country, quietly reflecting the nation's prosperity and progress. Even in damaged form, your 1952 penny is a piece of that story, a survivor from a time when coins had real purchasing power and carried the image of one of America's greatest leaders. It has traveled through more than 70 years of American history, bearing the marks of time and use. The scratches and wear are signs of its long life, giving it a kind of rustic authenticity that modern coins simply don't possess. Next up, the 1945 Jefferson Nickel with an S mint mark is one of the final coins from the famous World War II Territoire CD Ritu Silver War Nickel series. Minted during a period when the United States altered its coin compositions to save nickel metal for the war effort. Your coin, described as having a large date, a clear S mint mark, and being in dirty condition with some scratches, represents an important piece of American history and remains popular among collectors today for both its silver content and its historical background. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's elegant Virginia estate, engraved in neoclassical detail. The design includes the Latin phrase E pluribus unum above the building and the words Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America below. The most distinctive feature of this coin is the large S mint mark placed above Monticello's dome, a key identifier of wartime nickels struck at the San Francisco Mint. The large mint mark was used from 1942 to 1945 to signify the special silver alloy used during this time. On your coin, the S may show signs of fading from wear, but it should still be visible. The coin's surface may appear dull or dark gray, consistent with a dirty, circulated example that has been handled and stored for decades. The composition of the 1945 S Jefferson Nickel makes it unique. Because nickel was needed for wartime production, the U.S. Mint used a special mix of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese instead of the regular 75% copper and 25% nickel formula. This gave the coins a lighter color and a slightly different texture. The coin weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. The silver alloy makes it slightly softer, which is why many examples, like yours, show surface scratches and marks after years of circulation. The San Francisco Mint produced around $58,939,000 of these 1945 S nickels. This makes it one of the scarcer wartime issues compared to the 1943 and 1944 nickels, but it's still relatively available to collectors due to the large number originally struck. However, because it was the final year of the wartime composition, many collectors seek out the 1945 S nickel to complete their wartime set. From a historical perspective, your 1945 S Jefferson Nickel captures the final months of World War II, when the U.S. Mint was still using silver in 5-cent coins. These nickels circulated widely among soldiers, factory workers, and families across the nation. They often passed through canteens, small stores, and war bond drives, connecting everyday Americans to the nation's efforts overseas. When the war ended later that year, the mint returned to the regular copper-nickel alloy, making the 1945 S one of the last U.S. coins to be made with silver until the introduction of 90% silver coinage in other denominations resumed for collectors. Your coin's dirty condition and scratches place it within the good to fine grade range. In this state, most of the finer details are worn, and the coin may have lost its original shine. However, the date, Monticello, and mint mark are still visible, and that makes it a desirable collectible for history enthusiasts and beginning coin collectors. The dirt and toning on the coin do not necessarily hurt its value. In fact, they give it an authentic appearance that many collectors appreciate as evidence of age and originality. In today's coin market, the 1945 S. Jefferson Nickel in dirty circulated condition typically sells for about $1 to $1.25, mostly based on its silver content. The melt value alone, the intrinsic value of the silver in the coin, usually falls around $1.00, depending on the current price of silver. In fine to very fine condition, examples can fetch $1.50 to $2, while extremely fine coins are valued around $3 to $40. Uncirculated or mint state examples with full details and luster can bring anywhere from $10 to $25 or more, especially if certified by PCGS or NGC. Next up, the 1926 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it belongs to the earlier years of the famous wheat cent series. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin continues the original design that first appeared in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the obverse side, Lincoln's portrait appears proudly in profile, representing integrity and leadership, while the reverse features the classic wheat ears, design symbolizing national prosperity and unity. On the front, you can see, "In God we trust" above Lincoln's head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1926 on the right. Since this coin does not have a mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. The back of the coin shows 1 cent and United States of America at the center, surrounded by 2 curved wheat stalks. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one runs along the top rim. The overall look of the 1926 cent is simple, balanced, and deeply symbolic, one of the most admired designs in U.S. coin history. The 1926 Philadelphia issue had a total mintage of about 157 million coins, making it a moderately common date for the series. However, coins from the 1920s are still considered collectible today because they are nearly a century old, and finding one in fine condition with all major details visible is always exciting. Your coin, described as being in fine condition with some scratches and a tuck line, appears to show light to moderate wear, with Lincoln's features still clearly visible and the major design elements intact. In coin grading, fine condition typically means moderate wear across the surface. The central details are worn but visible, and both sides retain strong outlines. The wheat stalks on the reverse might be smooth in the center but still defined at the edges. The term tuck line likely refers to a faint line or indentation that could have developed from a minting flaw or circulation wear. It doesn't usually affect the coin's grade much, unless it's deep or severe. The scratches mentioned are common for coins that circulated for many decades and slightly lower the aesthetic appeal. But for a coin this old, such marks are expected. The coin's composition is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gives it that rich reddish-brown tone when new. Over time, oxidation causes the color to deepen into shades of brown or even black, depending on how it's been stored. Many 1920s cents show these darker shades, giving them a distinctive antique appearance. As for value, condition, and demand are key. Because the 1926 Philadelphia wheat penny had a large mintage, it is not considered rare, but it still holds collector interest due to its age and design. In today's market, a 1926 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in fine condition with minor scratches is typically worth between 0.25 and 0.75. Coins in very fine condition may sell for around $1, and those in extremely fine condition can bring 2 or more. Uncirculated examples, especially those with strong red luster, are much scarcer and can sell for $10 to $20, depending on eye appeal and grading. Even though this coin's market value isn't particularly high, its historical and sentimental value makes it a fascinating collectible. When this penny was minted, Calvin Coolidge was President of the United States. Silent films were still popular, and the U.S. was in the midst of the Roaring '20s. A period of cultural transformation, jazz music, and economic optimism. This coin circulated during that era, passing through the hands of everyday Americans nearly 100 years ago, buying small goods, candy, or stamps in a very different world from today's. Next up, the 1962 Jefferson Nickel with a D mint mark is a classic mid-20th century U.S. coin minted at the Denver Mint, and it remains a common yet historically interesting piece in circulation and collections today. Your coin, described as being in fine condition with some scratches, represents a circulated example that has survived over 6 decades of handling and use, carrying both historical and collectible value. In fine condition, your 1962 D nickel shows moderate wear on the high points of Jefferson's hair and cheekbone, with most of the finer details smoothed out from circulation. The lettering, date, and general outline of the portrait remain clearly visible. Some surface scratches, which are normal for circulated coins, can be seen under light, along with a dull or slightly grayish tone due to years of handling. Flipping to the reverse, back, of the coin, the design showcases Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, located in Charlottesville, Virginia. The structure is depicted with neoclassical precision. Its dome, columns, and stairs are clearly outlined, though in your coin's circulated condition, some of these details may appear faint. Above the building is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. Below Monticello are the inscriptions Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. To the right of the steps is the small D mint mark, which is still visible on your coin, even though it might show slight fading due to wear. The composition of this coin follows the standard post-war Jefferson nickel alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with no silver content. It weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. Unlike the wartime nickels, 1942-1945, that contained silver, the 1962 D nickel is composed entirely of base metals, making it resistant to corrosion, but prone to light surface scratches over time. In 1962, the Denver Mint produced an enormous 280,195,720 Jefferson nickels, making it one of the highest mintage years for the series at that time. Because of this large production, most 1962 D nickels are common in circulation and easy to find in rolls, sets, or change today. However, finding a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition is less common, as many of these were heavily used in everyday commerce throughout the 1960s and 1970s. From a historical perspective, the 1962 D nickel represents the steady continuation of American coinage during an era of economic growth and cultural change. It was minted during the presidency of John F. Kennedy, at a time when the U.S. economy was expanding and the country was entering a new technological age. Coins like this one were in the pockets of Americans during events like the Cuban Missile Crisis and the early stages of the space race. Though not a rare date, it reflects a slice of everyday life in mid-century America. Your coin's fine condition places it within the lower mid-grading tier, meaning the coin has moderate wear but retains all major details and readable inscriptions. The presence of some scratches is expected for circulated nickels of this age, and while it does slightly lower the coin's collectible appeal, it does not greatly impact its base value. Collectors value such coins mostly for typesets, year mint collections, or sentimental reasons rather than rarity. In today's coin market, the 1962D Jefferson nickel in fine condition generally trades for around 5 to 10 cents, just slightly above its face value due to its age and collector interest. In very fine to extremely fine condition, it may sell for 10 to 20 cents, while uncirculated or mint state examples can bring anywhere from $1 to $3, depending on luster and strike quality. A proof-like example or one with full steps on Monticello, indicating a strong strike with visible steps on the building, can command higher premiums from collectors, sometimes exceeding $10 to $15 if graded by PCGS or NGC. Next up, the 1949 Jefferson nickel with a D mint mark is a fascinating mid-century U.S. coin that holds historical significance and modest collector value today. Minted at the Denver Mint, this coin was struck during the post-World War II era, a time when the United States was emerging as a global leader in both economy and innovation. Your coin, described as being in very fine condition with some scratches, represents a circulated yet well-preserved example of this classic American 5-cent piece. In terms of composition, the 1949D Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with no silver content, a return to the standard alloy, after the temporary use of silver in wartime nickels from 1942 to 1945. The coin weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, maintaining the same size and metal mix that continues in modern Jefferson nickels today. The Denver Mint produced approximately 36,280,8,000 coins of the 1949D Jefferson nickel, a relatively moderate mintage compared to other years in the series. This makes it somewhat more collectible than the more common dates of the 1950s, but not considered rare. The year 1949 also marks the final phase of the early Jefferson nickel design style before the mint began improving die quality and striking strength in the 1950s. In very fine condition, your coin shows light to moderate wear on Jefferson's cheekbone, jawline, and hair, but the portrait remains strong and fully outlined. The legends and date are clear, and most major features on both sides of the coin are well defined. The scratches you mentioned are expected for a coin that has circulated for over 75 years and do not significantly impact its grade unless they are deep or concentrated in one area. The coin may also have a slightly darkened tone or light patina, common for older copper-nickel alloys, which adds to its antique appearance. From a historical standpoint, the 1949 Jefferson nickel reflects the optimism of the post-war period. The U.S. Mint was operating efficiently again after wartime metal shortages, and nickels like yours circulated widely in a growing American economy. Coins from this era tell the story of post-war recovery, industrial expansion, and the early beginnings of the Cold War period. When it comes to market value, the 1949D Jefferson nickel is appreciated by collectors for its age and Denver Mint origin, but remains affordable due to its large mintage and availability. In very fine condition, such as your coin, the current market value typically ranges from 0.10 to 0.20 USD. In extremely fine, XF condition, it may sell for around 0.25 to 0.40, while uncirculated or mint state examples can reach $100 to $300 depending on luster and strike sharpness. Coins with full, sharply defined steps on Monticello, known as full steps, FS nickels, can fetch higher values, sometimes between $10 and $25, especially if certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. While your coin's condition and light scratches limit its premium, it remains a valuable piece of American history. Each 1949 D Jefferson nickel tells a story of resilience and progress in a period when the U.S. was defining its place in the modern world. Collectors often include this date in their sets to represent the transitional years of post-war minting. In today's coin market, your 1949 D Jefferson nickel in very fine condition holds a fair collectible value of about 10 to 20 cents, depending on its eye appeal and overall preservation. Although it doesn't contain precious metal, its historical charm and connection to mid-20th century America make it a meaningful addition to any coin collection. Next up, the 1957 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it stands among the final years of the beloved wheat cent series before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. This coin is a beautiful example of mid-20th century American coinage, simple, patriotic, and deeply rooted in history. It features the same classic design by Victor David Brenner, which first appeared in 1909 and became one of the most recognized designs in the world. This coin you described is in dirty condition, showing some scratches and color shade changes, a common characteristic of coins that have been in circulation for many years. The term color shade refers to the coin's toning, which can range from reddish-brown to dark brown or even black, depending on how the copper has oxidized over time. Exposure to air, moisture, oils from human hands, and storage conditions all affect this toning process. While such toning doesn't necessarily damage the coin structurally, it can reduce its visual appeal and market value slightly if it appears uneven or blotchy. In dirty condition, much of the original mint luster is gone, and dirt may be settled into the lettering and design features. The scratches indicate that the coin has been through extensive circulation, possibly rattling against other coins for decades. In this state, the fine details, like Lincoln's hair and beard, as well as the lines in the wheat ears, are visible but softened. Still, the overall design remains recognizable, and for collectors, that means it's still a piece worth preserving for historical reasons. The composition of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that warm, reddish tone when new. Over time, oxidation can create a darker brown or deep red-brown color, which some collectors actually find appealing for its antique look. However, heavy dirt and corrosion lower the coin's grade. In terms of mintage, the 1957 Philadelphia issue was produced in very large numbers, over 282 million coins. Because of this high production, it is not rare or difficult to find today. The value of this coin depends heavily on its condition. In dirty or heavily circulated condition with scratches, the coin's market value in today's collector market is typically around $20,000. In fine to very fine condition, it might sell for $25,000, while extremely fine or uncirculated examples can reach $30,000. Bright red uncirculated specimens certified by grading services may bring $5 to $10, depending on eye appeal. While not valuable in dollar terms, your 1957 penny carries historical weight as one of the last wheat cents ever made. It represents an era when the U.S. economy was strong, the baby boom was shaping a new generation, and coins like this circulated in nearly every pocket and cash register across the nation. For many Americans, these wheat pennies evoke nostalgia, memories of childhood collections, penny candy, and simpler times when even a single cent could buy something small but meaningful. The dirt and color shade on your coin tell a story of time and travel. It has likely passed through countless hands, seen everyday life in post-war America, and endured the wear of circulation for more than 6 decades. Each scratch and patch of discoloration adds character, reminding us that this tiny piece of metal has lived through generations of history. In conclusion, the 1957 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, in dirty condition with color shade and scratches, holds a current market value of about 2 to 5 cents. While its monetary value is low, its true worth lies in its story. As one of the final wheat pennies, it marks the closing chapter of a 50-year design legacy and connects collectors to a rich piece of America's past. Even in its worn state, it remains a symbol of endurance, history, and the lasting legacy of Abraham Lincoln himself.